preview online testing, and this is going to show you what the test looks like for the students. It also allows you to make sure that everything is displaying correctly. So when the student logs in to take their test, and to clarify, the student's username and password when they log in is their student ID for both. So when they're asked to sign in to take their test, they have to enter their student ID for their username and their student ID for their password. So when a student comes in, if you've enabled the calculator, they will have a button for their calculator. So here is their scientific calculator. They can grab it, move it around anywhere they want. Okay. If they have students that might have maybe some visual impairment, they have the ability to turn on a color scheme so they can change basically the font and background colors. Any question or response has the ability to have the question read to them. So let me find a different question. Okay. Where did I put that one that had a question? Okay, so when we, just to clarify, so I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to speak this one. Okay, not very pretty, but if they select speak options, they can adjust the volume, they can adjust the speed, and this is where that language comes in. So they can switch it from either English to Spanish. And again, that just changes the inflection of the voice. So now it'll sound more closer to a native speaker. They can change the gender. Okay. So that's how they can change that. They can zoom in their questions if they have issues with vision there as well. Okay. So if they want to mark out options, they can strike out to eliminate answers. Notice as we went through, and then here's our reading passage, or the resource that we added. Following STAR standard expectations, reading passages are not able to be converted from text to speech. So the student will need to be able to read this information, because they can't do that, and that's against STAR expectations, but they still can have their questions and responses read to them. So after the student gets through their entire test, they'll go ahead and submit their test. Okay. So that's how that interaction looks like for the students. So are there any questions on how we went through this before I show you what the teachers will see?
I have two questions, John. The first one is, if you want to unlink the resources, can you walk us through that?
Certainly. So if I go back to my questions tab, and I have here's my reading resource, I now see that it says it's linked. If I click it, it's going to, you select it and then say, I no longer want to be linked to that one.
Good.
And then it breaks off.
Okay. Second question, you and I, we've been doing that for years. The student who are placed at the Gap Center. I know when you select campuses for elementary, I didn't say Gap Center. Every year I have to reach out to you to turn that on. And is it something that those who are creating the test have to do here, so that you don't have to be called upon by the new AP to have those activated?
Okay, so in regards to when campuses are assigned, and let's look at this again. So I'm right now looking at 5th grade. Do you have 5th grade students at Gap?
Currently, they don't. Currently, they don't.
Okay, so what is a grade level that does?
I can't remember who's there right now. So
realistically, if there would be a student that is assigned to that grade level, then the campus shows up.
Okay.
So just for example, you notice that the Knipple Education Center isn't here because they don't have a 5th grader. But I'm sure if I change this to say like a 9th grader, all of a sudden now Knipple Education Center shows up
Okay.
because they have a ninth grader tied to them.
Okay.
It's based off of the grade level that's of enrollment.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Mr. Peters, I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
Our math students have access to the TI-84, was pushed out on the Chromebooks. When we enable the lockdown browser, will they still be able to access the TI-84?
No.
Okay.
Because it is a lockdown browser, it does exactly what it says it's supposed to do. It locks that student to just that window. It does not allow them to open anything else up. So, but the student does have, I know that it's not exactly the same as the TI-84, but they will have the ability for a scientific calculator. So if they need that, or if unfortunately, I mean, I've spoken with Barron about this, and that's just for the current situation, this is how we're going to have to approach it.
Okay.
I have a quick question. It's Lisa Williams.
Yes, ma'am.
So speaking on the same behalf of the calculator, because I know in pre-cal we have a lot of graphs, so they won't have a graphing calculator provided, just a scientific, from my understanding.
That is the two options here. Yes, ma'am.
So what is the second option? That's the first option, was either scientific or non-scientific?
Correct. It's either a basic calculator or a scientific calculator.
Okay, roger that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. So we can't embed a calculator in there? There's no way to embed a different calculator?
No, I mean, again, it's built in as a lockdown browser. It does not allow you to add in additional items. I mean, I can reach out to them and ask if there's some other features, but if they're in a lockdown browser, the whole point is to keep you incorporated into that environment.
And then add to what she just stated, I think it's like, is there any way that you can add it to the program, the graphing calculator, instead of just the scientific and the basic one? Is there any way they can incorporate that graphing calculator?
I mean, I can ask them, but in the time frame that we have, we're with losing a week at Thanksgiving, we're basically a month out from students starting the test. So I very much doubt that will be possible. Again, I can ask them, and they might be working on it, but Eduphoria is notorious for not releasing anything until they are really sure that it works, close to 100%. So even if in their standards it works at 85%, they're not going to release it until they feel that it's a safe environment.
And the reason I state that from the math perspective, majority of our students, pretty much their test is done with the graphing calculator.
I understand. I understand.
Okay, roger that.
I know it's not the answer you wanted, but that's the answer I have to give you. So, okay, so let's look at, unless we've got any more questions or need to walk through entering a question again or editing a question again. Okay. So after you're done and the program, I'm sorry, did someone have a question?
Yeah. Hi, John. It's Tara.
Hey, Tara.
Hey, quick question. So I saw that you linked the question to the whole story. Is there a way to link the question to the paragraph in which the question would be answered? How would you do that?
With that, my suggestion would be you'd probably create a resource of just that paragraph.
Got it. Okay.
And
then link the question to that paragraph.
Yeah, that would probably be the easiest way to make sure that the student is locating the right paragraph.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so any other questions on this? Okay, so after you've created the test and you feel that it is complete, my suggestion is to notify the program director that you have completed the test. I'm not asking you to make it active. I'm relying on the program director to first approve your test to make sure that it has got everything on it that they've asked you to do. So I'm not asking you to just build the test. You're being nice enough to dive in here and help us out. So I'm now going to sort of jump in at a teacher's point of view. So we know what this looks like.